Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome inside the Philly Soccer Page postgame show. I'm Peter Andrews alongside Kevin Kincaid. Philadelphia Union a 3-0 victory over the New England Revolution, capping their first half of the season with 3 points, 2 straight wins at home. Let's start right at the beginning, Kevin. Bit of a controversial penalty call for CJ Sapong. I feel like every week we have the referee here to break down the call. So let's start here. Was it a penalty for you?
I didn't think it was, honestly. I was kind of rambling on about it on Twitter, but I was just kind of thinking of the idea that we didn't really have a great angle, but I think if the guy, I think we saw Angua had both feet kind of like right on the line, and I just felt because his, without getting in like the ESPN like freeze frame physics where they draw the line or whatever, I just felt like if his feet were flat and he was turning, that his torso would have kind of put his arm over outside the line, but. I don't know, whatever. I mean, Union fans aren't complaining about it. And it ended up not really mattering at the end of the day because they scored 2 goals anyway. But, I think the interesting takeaway from that specific scenario was that Jim Curtin came out after the game and he said that kind of threw off their game a little bit because he thinks that they got a little complacent, I think, taking that early lead. And they were actually on the back foot then for the next probably 20, 25 minutes. Actually, at the end of the first half, the possession was 58-42 New England. Yeah, so I thought that was the most interesting takeaway from it was I don't think anybody expected to have a lead 2 minutes into the game. So it just kind of the first half was just kind of a little weird because of that,
No, and we'll work on. I promise you, we'll work on bringing that freeze frame technology to the Philly Soccer Page as soon as it's practicable.
Yeah, we'll get Khan on it or something.
I do want to talk about the possession, but just on the penalty, that's a good finish by CJ. Power, knew where he want to put it.
Yeah, I like the run up too. He kind of starts wide.
Yeah, he does the thing where you kind of hop wide.
Yeah, because I think it just makes it hard to read. Guys who have like a static run up or don't take too many steps, I think it's easier to predict where they're going to go. But he earned the PK and he finished it. So nine goals on the year, and he actually had 3 key passes tonight. He got robbed of an assist when Ilsinho put his one shot just wide. So I thought CJ quietly had another after that 2 minutes. Quietly played a good 88 after that. So.
Yeah, I thought he was strong tonight.
Yeah.
But the first half was not ideal for the Union. I think at home, you have a lead, you're at home, you like to be searching for the second goal rather than kind of receding, and I thought they looked to play on the counter too much against a Revs team that was missing a lot of their key players. The Union did not have that sort of sustained pressure, particularly after about the 25th minute. They were sort of back on their heels.
Yeah, but they got the job done at the end of the day, and I think they did what they had to do, was just take care of a team at home that's depleted. I think they're good for one of these every summer.
And it's always against New England.
Yeah, there's a New England. I think they beat Portland 3-0 one year when they were missing like 3 guys, but like we were saying in the pregame show, you got to get these points now. Because you have a lot of tough games coming up. Now they leave on a 3-game road trip.
Yeah.
And Andre Blake's not going to be there for Kansas City, who's not going to have Dom Dwyer and Zusi and Beasler and
Espinoza,
Beasler, right?
suspended.
Espinoza suspended. So again, you got to take them when you can get them, and that's kind of the beauty of MLS playing through the international windows. Sometimes you run into these games and you take the points where you can get them. It's just the same as anything else. New England I thought was interesting tonight. They came out at 4-1-4-1. And, without Kellen Rowe there, they played sort of like a midfield triangle that had Watson, Kofi, and Caldwell, who are all kind of the same player almost. They're more defensive-minded guys. Kofi, I guess, can go box to box, but I just felt like it was very redundant in their midfield. And Lee Win peeling wide, or playing wide left and getting the ball, and then Kai Kamara would go into the corners to get the ball. But I thought Ray Gaddis and Giuliano Wijnaldum did a good job on both of those sides respectively, not really letting the Revs do too much when they tried to do that. So.
Yeah, I would say the best chance for the Revs was I think it was Kamara sort of peeling away when they had that 2-on-1. Blake made his one really good save.
Yeah.
They also Kamara involved with that collision with Aguchi Onyewu, which I think sounded a lot worse. I mean, up in the press box, it sounded to me like a gunshot. Gooch seemed pretty okay with it post game, though.
Yeah, Curtin said he said it sounded like an NFL hit on the field. I think when we watched the replay, I think the ball kind of hit him like right here. Yeah, but
that's gonna knock you out for a second.
That would do so. Yeah, that'd be hard enough. And Gooch said post game that he wasn't exactly sure if he got grazed or not. I didn't see like any cuts or anything when we were in there. But he had another great game.
Did you think Gooch's post game? So post game, Gooch was talking about being, I think he feels kind of slighted by other teams in the league and by members of the media who think he's too old. Another strong game. Did you think he was warranted in some of that after the match?
Yeah, and to be fair to Gooch too, that was something that we kind of, as the conversation went on, he took a lot of questions, and that kind of came up at the end. It wasn't something that he brought up of his own volition, but so my the curiosity I have, and we asked him this point blank. He said, there have been critics and who said I was washed up or I was done or whatever. And so I asked him. I said, who are the critics? Is it just us, the media? Is it other teams that passed on you? Is it a combination of both? Is it multiple people? Is it other teammates or the people that you played with in the past that think you're done? And he said, I guess could be a combination. He pointed to the Revs as one of the teams that passed.
I thought that
on.
was interesting.
Yeah. So to his credit, I mean, he's in great shape. He has the pedigree, the international caliber talent. I think the question with him was always just going to be not even his age necessarily, but the injuries.
Yeah.
Because he really didn't. He didn't. Yeah, he had a lot of injuries and he didn't play a lot of games. So it wasn't that we were just making stuff up. I mean, there was some evidence behind it to show that look, when you're a center back and you're 34 going on 35, and you've had these knee injuries. I mean, like historically,
at that age, Jim Curtin was coaching the Union, right? So
yeah, the fact just the history is not just isn't on your side. But credit to him for proving everybody wrong. I think I was definitely one of those people. I think I wrote about it at the beginning of the year. I said Gooch will be a good signing for the year as long as he doesn't play too many games. Because we saw that kind of like mentorship role for him, and then we thought he'd be the third center back, which technically he was at the beginning of the year. But the Josh Yaro injury opened the door for him, and he hasn't really.
No, he hasn't seeded it at all.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift into the second half and talk a little about the two goals and sort of what's going on at center midfield right now. So. I thought that both goals were really well taken, starting with Elsinho to find Fafa down the wing. Fafa with the patience. I see Fafa's looking at me right now, just saying what a good pass it was.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's a great pass to find Elsinho, and then Elsinho on the volley waits for his moment, and really, I thought that's a class finish.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I think what we've said all along about him is that with the flashes of brilliance have been there. The nutmegs have been there. The only thing that we really haven't seen from him are goals and assists.
Right.
And I asked Jim probably the dumbest question I've ever asked in a press conference. Basically, I was just trying to get him to follow up on a previous question. I couldn't really think of how I wanted to say. Yeah, I couldn't. You kind of asked what I wanted to ask, and I wanted him to keep talking about it, so I just made something else up. And I said,
"This is the art of journalism here."
Yeah. And I just said, "Do you need goals and assists out of the number 10?" Basically, alluding that they weren't getting anything out of that, which was true because coming into the game, Elsinho had 1 goal on the year and Roland had 2. And what we said in the preview show was that CJ wasn't scoring, Elsinho wasn't scoring, Pontius wasn't scoring, still didn't do much tonight, had another quiet shift. So they need production from that position, But interesting, then Jim said in the post-game press conference that Alberg was pissed at him for not putting him in the starting lineup after his good game the other night. Against New York, and then that in turn he thinks made Elsinho play better. So,
yeah, I mean, I did think one thing Jim said in the post game was Elsinho had a period in the late first half where he kind of drifted out of the game, but in the second half I thought he did a much better job of getting on the ball, and then I think when Elsinho is the best is when he either knows he's going to make a run and does it, that's where he earns that free kick, or when he immediately passes the ball. And I thought he did a good job of springing CJ, Fafa, these guys into space on occasion. The finishing just wasn't there tonight. Fafa missed a couple. Elsinho on a cutback should have had his second goal. And then let's turn to Roland. When they bring Roland into the game, first touch within a minute after coming in, hits an absolute laser blast from 30 yards out. Kev, you and I were talking right before this about should that go on the list of top 10 goals in Union history.
Now that I
say yes.
Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah. Because I was thinking of what I wrote there previously. That's probably better than the Paunovic goal. It could be better than I forget what's number 9 on the list. But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Torsten Frings goal that he scored in the I think it was the opening game of the 2006 World Cup. They were playing in Costa Rica, I want to say, where he hits he just comes across the ball and just hits that outside of the boot. I mean, it was the funniest thing about it was that Roland fell down while doing it. But if you are you've seen guys try that shot a million times before. Try to come across the ball, or they're moving laterally, and your momentum just makes you fall on your butt. For him to hit that top corner, I would say it's top 10.
I think if there's one thing we've seen from Alberg in his time with the Union, is his elite skill is that ability to just launch one. And he's done that a few times where, he just one-times it or lines it up.
He's probably, not to interrupt, but before I lose the thought, I think if you were talking about best, the best pure finisher on the team, I was trying to think of other people who have a goal-scoring ratio or the finishing ability. He has
history.
The only guy I could really think of was like Carlos Ruiz, maybe.
Right.
because he was just a clinical finisher, and he had been
But
a guy who
he
scored.
wasn't a howitzer guy. You know?
No, he wasn't that kind of player. But I think just sort of volume and the way that he could score different goals and stuff. But Roland, I think I can't think of anybody else on the team who's been able to consistently bang in those kinds of quality shots that he has. You know.
So I mean, I do think until they buy a number 10, which you'd think is coming, the two of them are going to share minutes at that number 10, and it was encouraging to see them get 2 goals today.
Yeah, I just Jim said something interesting about Elsinio. He said we're trying to get him to turn more. Right? Is that what I heard? Okay, so
I think he means he's talking about like receive and then go forward. Right?
Yeah, because I think a lot of times when you play wide to begin your career, you are opened up to the field when you receive the ball. So there is a lot of the times you never, as a winger, you're rarely receiving the ball with your back turned. And if your back is turned, you've got you only have a fullback behind you or the line. So it's a much different thing for him, especially when he really hasn't played a lot of games there. And we asked him that afterwards, and we said, "Do you like?" I said, "What's the biggest difference been moving inside?" And I think that's sort of what he said was just having the proximity of guys around you, and there's sort of a different feel for it.
Yeah.
But then we asked him if he liked playing the number 10, and he just said, "I like playing. I just like playing."
I think that's a good look.
Which is a very Brazilian thing to say, isn't it?
I like Elsinio, and I like that attitude. Just I want to be out there. I want to be trying stuff. So that's all good. Before we wrap up, any other players you want to highlight tonight? I thought the back line was very strong throughout, including on the fullbacks. I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
No, I just Harris. I think in the beginning he had one bad hospital ball that led to the
shot,
Blake save, but again he was really good. He hit a couple of great balls into the box, and he just missed on that free kick. Derek Jones quietly kind of mopped up the stuff.
I thought
that
it
he
took him
to.
a little while to get into the game.
Yeah, it took him a little bit to get into the game. And again, we've talked about that weird kind of right-sided tilt when Ali Bedoya is on the field, and you don't see that from Derek Jones as much. But Harris in the post-game said, we're trying to get Derek to pick and choose his runs a little bit more. We know when to go forward and know when to come back, because you're just going to burn out all your energy, whether you're 20 years old or not. You're playing in 92-degree weather or whatever, you're going to burn yourself out if you just keep running like crazy. So, no, I think the only person who really had a quiet and not much of anything game was Chris Pontius again.
Yeah,
right?
I completely forgot that he played.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And in this game, you didn't really need him, but another game without a goal for him. And I think the one sequence I remember that Chris had was that they sprung like a 4v3 or a 4v4, something like that, and he completely missed on the pass to open up Pico on the left. But otherwise, they take care of business at home.
Yeah, and of course Fabian Hervers did play 30 minutes for Bethlehem, so you're thinking he might be back in contention soon. Yeah. So yeah, they're on the road on Thursday, starting a 3-game road trip, including they have the bye next weekend.
And then the big Swansea tilt.
Yeah, everyone I'm sure will be filling Talon Energy Stadium to watch Paul Clement's Swansea
it's inevitable, but I think there's gonna have to be a Bob Bradley question in there. not to him necessarily. Maybe we'll flag down Sigurdsson or something, and we'll just. Because what other angle? What other angle are we really?
Right? I don't know who we're going to see here.
Yeah, Alfie Mawson or something.
So that's the next matchup at Talon in midweek on the Thursday. Sporting Kansas City versus your Philadelphia Union. But they win tonight, halfway point of the season. Good to finish it on 2 wins in a row. So for Philly Soccer Page, thanks very much, Kevin Kincaid, as always, for coming on the show. I'm Peter Andrews. Thanks for watching, and have a great 4th of July.